Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History, that turns pocket change into powerful stories, and sometimes, even small fortunes. Today, we're going to explore one of the most beloved and iconic coins in US history. It's a coin you've likely seen, maybe even held, or possibly have stashed away in an old coin jar. That's right, we're talking about the legendary 1957 Lincoln Wheat penny. At first glance, this coin may not look like anything out of the ordinary. It's just a copper penny, after all, small, simple, and worth just 1 cent. But as you're about to discover, this modest little coin carries with it a fascinating legacy, rich symbolism, and, in rare cases, a value that could leave you speechless. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why this coin is so special, what details to look for, and what makes certain 1957 pennies worth a jaw-dropping amount of money. Let's begin by going back in time, back to the year 1957. America was booming in the post-war era. The economy was strong, families were growing, and Elvis Presley was rocking radios across the nation. It was a time of optimism, innovation, and growth. And while the country looked to the future, its coin still honored the values and heroes of the past. The Lincoln Wheat penny, also known as the Wheat cent, had been circulating since 1909, the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design was groundbreaking at the time. It was the first U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real person, and that person, of course, was Abraham Lincoln, arguably one of the most admired figures in American history. On the obverse front of the coin, you'll see the profile of Lincoln facing right, along with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year, 1957. Just beneath the year, depending on where the coin was minted, you may also find a mint mark, either a tiny D for Denver, or no mark at all, indicating it was made at the Philadelphia Mint. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the reverse side, the iconic design of 2 stalks of wheat flanking the words, 1 cent, United States of America, and De Pluribus Unum. This wheat design is what gives the coin its nickname, and for collectors, it's a symbol of classic American coinage. Now, let's get into the heart of the matter. What makes the 1957 Wheat penny so interesting and potentially valuable? To start, we need to acknowledge that the 1957 Wheat penny is not considered rare by default. In fact, over 1 billion of these pennies were produced between the Philadelphia and Denver mints that year. So, if you've got a well-worn 1957 penny in average circulated condition, it's probably worth a few cents at best. But here's where things start to get exciting. Not all 1957 pennies are created equal. There are a number of factors that can dramatically increase the value of a 1957 Wheat penny, and we're going to walk you through the most important ones, so you'll know exactly what to look for. Let's begin with mint marks and variations. The 1957 D penny, produced at the Denver Mint, is more common than its Philadelphia counterpart. But what matters more than where it was minted is how it was minted, and that's where we come to the errors, the secret sauce of serious coin collecting. First up, the double die obverse, or DDO. This is a coin struck from a die that was improperly manufactured, resulting in visible doubling of design elements. On a 1957 Wheat penny, this might show up in the inscriptions. Look closely at "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or even the numbers and the date. If the letters or digits appear to have a shadow or duplicate image beside them, you might be holding a genuine double die error, and that is a big deal. Then we have RPMs, or repunched mint marks. These occur when the mint mark is punched more than once in slightly different locations. On 1957 D pennies, a visible repunched D is a strong indicator of a collectible error coin. Next are striking errors like off-center strikes, die cracks, die clashes, and broad strikes. These are all examples of what happens when the minting process goes wrong, and every one of these mistakes creates a unique coin. Some of them are small quirks. Others are dramatic, with portions of the design missing or distorted. The more severe, and the better the condition, the more valuable the coin. Speaking of condition, let's talk about grading. Professional coin grading is one of the most important aspects of coin collecting. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS 70 representing a flawless coin in mint state. The value of a 1957 wheat penny skyrockets when it's in uncirculated or near perfect condition. Coins with a beautiful red luster, a natural copper glow that hasn't faded to brown, are even more prized. So imagine combining these traits. You have a coin from 1957. It has a dramatic double die error. It's in mint state. It has retained its original red color. Maybe even a repunched mint mark thrown in for good measure. That's when we're talking about serious value. Now, you might be thinking, okay, sure, but does anyone actually pay huge money for a penny like that? Yes. They do. Collectors, auction houses, and private investors are constantly on the lookout for these rare coins. Some spend years building complete sets, tracking down high-grade errors, and attending coin shows with one goal in mind: to find a coin that stands out from the rest. And there was one 1957 wheat penny in particular that did just that. It featured a clearly visible double die obverse, a repunched Denver mint mark, and was preserved in nearly flawless condition, graded at the highest levels by professional numismatists. It shone with a fiery red finish that made it a standout piece in any collection. When it finally appeared at auction, bidders from around the world took notice. And what happened next made headlines in the coin collecting world. That one humble 1957 wheat penny, a coin most people wouldn't look at twice, was sold to a private buyer for an astonishing $98,000. Let that sink in. A single penny. A small copper coin from 1957. Sold for $98,000, and here's the best part: it wasn't pulled from a vault or a museum. It came from a private collection, proving that rare and valuable coins are still out there, waiting to be discovered. So what are you waiting for? Check your drawers. Dig through those old jars. Look at your childhood coin albums. You might just find a 1957 wheat penny that's not just a piece of American history, but a life-changing discovery. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most nostalgic and iconic coins in American history, the 1952 Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it might seem like just another old penny, a copper coin that's over 70 years old. But this little piece of metal has a story to tell. In fact, it holds secrets that many people overlook. And if you happen to find the right one, it could be worth far more than just 1 cent. So grab your coin jar, maybe a magnifying glass, and let's go on a journey through American history, minting mysteries, and collector excitement, all centered around the 1952 wheat penny. Let's take a step back in time, way back to 1952. The world was recovering from the effects of World War II. Harry S. Truman was President of the United States. Gas cost about 20 cents per gallon. The Korean War was underway. And over at the United States Mint, millions of coins were being produced to support a growing post-war economy. Among them was the Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that had already become a fixture of American life. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, this coin was the first U.S. coin to ever feature a real person, and not just any person, but one of the most respected leaders in American history. On the obverse of the 1952 penny, you'll find Lincoln's iconic right-facing portrait, surrounded by the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," on the left, and the date, 1952, on the right. Just below the date, you may notice a small letter, and this is where things start to get interesting. That little letter is called a mint mark, and it tells you where the coin was made. There were 3 U.S. mints operating in 1952, Philadelphia. Coins from this mint have no mint mark, Denver. These coins carry a D beneath the date, San Francisco. These coins carry an S beneath the date, now. While hundreds of millions of 1952 pennies were produced that year, not all of them are equal. Most are common and still turn up in jars, drawers, and old piggy banks. But a select few are extraordinarily valuable, and that's what we're here to talk about today. So what makes a 1952 penny valuable? It's all about rarity, errors, and condition. Let's start with rarity through errors. During the minting process, mistakes sometimes happen. These errors, while unintentional, make coins stand out, and collectors absolutely love them. The more dramatic or unusual the error, the higher the value point. One of the most desirable types of error is the double die obverse, often abbreviated as DDO. This occurs when the coin die shifts between impressions, creating a doubled image, most noticeably in the lettering. If your 1952 penny shows doubling on "In God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date, you could be looking at a true rarity. Another fascinating variety is the repunched mint mark, or RPM. Back in the early 1950s, mint marks were manually punched into the coin dies. That left room for human error. Sometimes the mint mark was struck more than once, slightly offset. This created a shadow or double appearance of the D or S on the coin. Some RPM varieties for the 1952 D and 1952 S pennies are highly collectible and fetch strong prices at auction. Then there are planchet errors. That's when a coin is struck on the wrong type of metal blank. Imagine a penny struck on a dime planchet or even a foreign coin blank. These are exceedingly rare and can be worth thousands due to their unique nature. Let's not forget about off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and broad strikes. All of these minting mistakes create unusual, one-of-a-kind coins. While a small off-center strike might increase a coin's value modestly, a major misalignment, say, 50% off-center with clear detail, can send value soaring. But even if your 1952 penny has no visible error, it could still be valuable depending on its condition. Coin collectors use a grading scale from 1 to 70, known as the Sheldon scale. A coin graded MS 60 or higher, MS stands for mint state, is considered uncirculated. These coins show no signs of wear and still have their original mint luster. And here's where things get really exciting. Coins with a bright, original, red color, untouched by years of circulation, are the most valuable of all. Collectors will pay a premium for Lincoln wheat pennies in this condition. So if you come across a 1952 penny that has sharp detail, a bright copper tone, and no visible wear, congratulations. You might be looking at something very special. Now, let's talk about the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco issues in a bit more detail. The 1952, no mint mark, penny from Philadelphia had a mintage of over 186 million coins. These are common but can be valuable in high grades or with errors. The 1952 D penny had an even larger mintage, over 746 million. Again, common overall, but several RPM errors have been discovered that are in high demand. The 1952 S penny had a relatively low mintage of just under 137 million. While still not extremely rare, this version is more collectible, especially in red uncirculated grades. Collectors build full sets of Lincoln wheat pennies, sometimes by year and mint mark, sometimes by variety. And one thing is always true: a coin in exceptional condition or with a dramatic error is the centerpiece of any collection. But let's bring this all home. Among all the 1952 pennies ever minted, a small handful have emerged with all the right ingredients: pristine condition, rare minting errors, and certified authentication from top grading companies like PCGS or NGC. These coins have gone beyond the pages of collector books. They've made waves at auctions. They've changed hands between elite collectors. And yes, they've sold for prices that most people wouldn't believe. One such 1952 penny, flawless in its coppery red tone, featuring a well-documented double die obverse, and preserved in a near-perfect mint state, shocked the coin collecting world when it hit the auction floor. And it didn't just make a splash, it made history. That tiny, unassuming penny, minted over 7 decades ago, was purchased by a private collector for a staggering $90,000. That's right. $90,000. For a 1-cent piece. Today's story is one for the ages. You may have walked past one, tossed it into a tip jar, or forgotten it in an old drawer. But that simple, copper-colored coin from 1937, yes, the United States Lincoln wheat penny, could be holding secrets that make it worth far more than just a single cent. And today, we're diving deep into everything you need to know about this incredible coin. So grab your magnifying glass, a cozy seat, and your coin stash, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and why one specific 1937 penny shocked the collecting world with an unbelievable price tag. Let's travel back in time. Back to 1937. The Great Depression was still gripping much of the world. Franklin D. Roosevelt was in his second term as President of the United States. The economy was slowly recovering, and across the country, Americans were tightening their belts, doing what they could to make every penny count. And at the same time, the United States Mint was continuing its mission, producing millions of coins for everyday use. Among those coins was the 1937 Lincoln wheat cent, a coin that's now considered one of the last classic designs of pre-World War II American coinage. But what is it that makes this particular penny so special? To understand that, let's first appreciate its design. The obverse of the coin features one of the most iconic and enduring images in all of U.S. coinage, President Abraham Lincoln, facing right. This portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner, had already been in circulation for nearly 30 years by 1937. It was the first American coin to feature a real person and remains a cornerstone of U.S. currency design to this day. Around Lincoln's profile are the words, "In God We Trust," at the top, "Liberty," to the left, and the date, 1937, on the right. Just below the date, depending on the mint, you may find a small letter, the mint mark. Now, the mint mark is key to understanding the coin's origin and, in some cases, its value. In 1937, Lincoln pennies were produced at 3 different U.S. mint facilities. Philadelphia. These coins carry no mint mark. Denver. Coins from this mint bear a small D below the date. San Francisco. Coins from here show a small S beneath the year. All 3 versions were heavily circulated. But while the Philadelphia issue was the most common, the Denver and San Francisco mint pennies had lower mintages, making them slightly more collectible, especially in higher grades. Now, let's talk about what truly gets collectors excited: condition and errors. First up, coin condition. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A grade of MS 60 or higher, mint state, means the coin was never used in circulation. It's in nearly perfect condition, with no wear from handling. But what pushes a coin to the top of the value chart is not just its grade, but its color. There are 3 classifications of color for old copper coins like the 1937 penny. Brown, BN. Most circulated coins appear this way. Red-brown, RB. Some original mint luster remains, red, RD, fully uncirculated. With rich copper shine. A 1937 penny with a brilliant red tone and nowhere can command major attention from collectors, especially when it combines other rare features, which brings us to the second value factor, errors and varieties. The United States Mint, even with all its precision, isn't immune to mistakes. And in 1937, a few very special coins were struck with errors that today make them incredibly desirable. One of the most sought-after errors is the double die obverse, DDO. This occurs when the coin die shifts slightly between strikes, resulting in a doubled appearance of the lettering and numbers. On a 1937 DDO penny, you might see doubling on the date, on Liberty, or In God We Trust. Next up, we have the repunched mint mark, RPM. Since mint marks were applied manually in those days, sometimes the punch would be misaligned and reapplied. The result is a visible doubling or even tripling of the mint mark, particularly the D or S on 1937 pennies. Then there are more dramatic minting errors, like off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted on the coin, die cracks, which look like raised lines across the surface, and clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin is literally missing due to a mishap during cutting. Each of these errors makes the coin unique and more valuable. Now imagine combining these features. You have a 1937 wheat penny. It has a dramatic double die error, or maybe a clearly visible repunched mint mark. It's in uncirculated, mint state condition. It shines with the original red copper luster, untouched by time. You've just entered elite collector territory. These coins are rare. Some are one of a kind. And when they come to market, either through estate sales, private collections, or major auctions, bidders from around the world show up. One of these coins, a pristine 1937 Lincoln wheat penny with exceptional detail, a rare minting error, and brilliant red coloration, was certified and authenticated by a top grading agency like PCGS or NGC. It became the highlight of a major coin auction. Collectors were stunned. The bidding climbed. And when the final gavel came down, the crowd couldn't believe the number. That single penny, once worth just 1 cent, sold for $96,000. Today, we're going to focus on a coin that might seem like a common old cent at first glance. But if you know what to look for, this small piece of copper could be your ticket to a hidden fortune. Let's talk about the 1951 Lincoln Wheat penny, a coin that many people have overlooked for years, yet collectors in the know are quietly chasing. It's copper. It's round. It's humble. But don't let that fool you. Inside this 1-cent piece lies a rich history, hidden minting secrets, and an unexpected chance at a serious payday. So stay with us as we dig into the past, break down the secrets, and reveal exactly why a simple 1951 penny could be one of the most exciting coins in your collection. Let's rewind the clock to 1951, a year filled with hope, change, and post-war optimism in the United States. Harry Truman was president, televisions were just starting to appear in living rooms, and across the country, families were growing, industries were booming, and coins were clinking in the pockets of millions of Americans, and among those coins was the Lincoln Wheat cent, a familiar face in American currency, but one that carried more meaning than most people ever realized. The design of the coin hadn't changed since 1909, when the U.S. Mint released the Lincoln cent to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, it was the first U.S. coin to ever feature a real person, and not just any person, but one of the most iconic and respected figures in American history. The obverse side features Lincoln's right-facing profile, flanked by the words, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," to the left, and the date, 1951, to the right. And just beneath that date, you may notice a small letter. That's the mint mark, and it plays a big role in your coin story. There were 3 U.S. mints producing Lincoln cents in 1951, Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark beneath the date, Denver Mint, look for a small D below the year, San Francisco Mint, you'll find a small S there. So, you might ask, what's the big deal about the 1951 penny? Well, in average condition, it might not seem like much. After all, hundreds of millions were minted that year. In fact, the 1951 D alone had over 625 million coins struck. But here's the thing, condition, rarity, and minting errors can turn a common penny into something extraordinary. Let's break it down. First, condition. Coin collectors use a system called the Sheldon scale to grade coins. This scale runs from 1 to 70, where a grade of MS 60 or higher, MS stands for mint state, means the coin shows no signs of wear and tear. It's like it just rolled off the press. Even better, coins that retain their original red luster, a shiny, reddish copper glow, are considered the most valuable. Over time, most copper coins turn brown due to oxidation, but some were preserved so perfectly that they still gleam like new. These are classified as red coins and are highly sought after by collectors. Now let's talk about minting errors, the real game changers. Back in the 1950s, coin production wasn't as automated as it is today. Mistakes happened, and those mistakes, ironically, are what collectors crave. One of the most well-known and desired errors is the double die obverse, DDO. This error occurs when the coin die, the metal stamp that strikes the coin, shifts slightly between strikes. The result is visible doubling of the letters or numbers on the coin. On a 1951 DDO penny, you might see this effect on the words, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the numbers in the date. It's a dramatic look and instantly makes the coin stand out. Another exciting error is the repunched mint mark, RPM. During this era, mint marks were added to dies by hand, which sometimes led to the mark being punched more than once, slightly off from the first impression. If you spot what looks like a shadow or doubling on the D or S mint mark, you could be looking at a genuine RPM, an error that significantly raises the coin's value. There are also rarer, more eye-catching mistakes, off-center strikes, where the coin design is misaligned, die cracks, where lines appear raised across the surface, and clipped planchets, where a piece of the coin looks like it was cut off before minting. These are not just cool anomalies, they are collectible treasures. So, imagine this, you find a 1951 penny. It's a bright, lustrous red, no signs of wear. You flip it under the light and something catches your eye. The letters, "Liberty" or "In God We Trust," look a little off. You grab a magnifier and notice clear doubling. You flip it again and see a strange, ghost-like second impression on the mint mark. Now, you're not just holding a penny. You're holding a unicorn, and now we come to the part everyone waits for, the collector market. Today, the world of coin collecting is more alive than ever. There are auctions held both online and in person. Coins are traded, sold, graded, and hunted by people from every walk of life. Some collectors chase full sets of Lincoln cents, including all mint marks, years, and known errors. Others focus on rare varieties and minting anomalies, and when a truly rare coin comes along, one with a verified error, perfect condition, and stunning visual appeal, bidding wars can erupt. That's exactly what happened with one particular 1951 Lincoln wheat penny. A coin that looked ordinary to most, but to trained eyes, was anything but. It featured a double die obverse, a clear RPM, and was preserved in almost flawless mint red condition. Certified and graded by a top-tier service, it went to auction, and shocked even the most seasoned numismatists. After an intense round of bidding, this tiny copper coin, originally worth just 1 cent, was sold for an astonishing $91,000. Let that sink in. $91,000. For a penny, and the truth is, yours could be next. That's the magic of coins. What looks like a forgotten piece of change might actually be a slice of history, an overlooked rarity, or a once-in-a-lifetime jackpot. Today, we're going to take a closer look at a small but mighty coin that may be sitting unnoticed in an old jar, a dusty drawer, or even in your own collection, the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny. Now don't be fooled by its size or simplicity. Because behind that 1 cent face is a coin with deep historical roots, striking design, and, under the right conditions, a potential value that could absolutely blow your mind. So sit back, get comfortable, and let's journey back to mid-century America. We're going to uncover the secrets, stories, and surprises that make the 1950 wheat penny one of the most exciting coins for collectors, and possibly one of the most valuable. It was 1950. The United States had just come out of the turbulent 1940s, a decade shaped by World War II and global change. The war was over, soldiers had returned home, and the American dream was in full swing. Families were growing, suburbs were expanding, and industries were booming. It was the golden age of diners, drive-in theaters, and the rise of consumer culture, and quietly circulating through the hands of everyday Americans was a coin that many didn't think twice about, the Lincoln wheat penny. This penny, first minted in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had become a staple of American currency. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured a dignified right-facing profile of the 16th president on the front, with the words, "In God We Trust," arched over his head, "Liberty," to the left, and the date, 1950, to the right. Just beneath that date, you might find a small letter. That letter is the mint mark, and it can make a huge difference in your coin's identity, and its potential worth. In 1950, Lincoln cents were minted at 3 locations. Philadelphia, these coins had no mint mark at all. Denver, these coins carry a small D just below the date. San Francisco, these pennies were struck with an S mint mark. Each of these mints produced millions of coins in 1950. But here's where things get interesting. While the Philadelphia mint produced the most, the San Francisco mint had a noticeably lower mintage, which instantly makes those coins more appealing to collectors, especially in higher grades. But a coin's true value isn't just about where it was made. It's about how well it has survived the test of time, and whether it carries any hidden secrets. Let's talk about condition, because it matters more than most people realize. Most 1950 pennies that show up today are worn, scratched, and have long since lost their original shine. That's because they were used in everyday transactions for decades. But a small number, an extremely small number, have survived in pristine, mint state condition. These coins, when carefully preserved, still shine with their original red copper luster, as if they just rolled off the minting press. These are called red coins by collectors, and they're graded using the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS 65 or higher is considered a top-tier piece in numismatics, and when paired with a rare error or minting anomaly, its value can increase dramatically. Now let's move into the world of errors and varieties, where true treasures are born. You see, in the minting process, mistakes happen. And in the world of coin collecting, mistakes are pure gold. One of the most exciting varieties that collectors hunt for is the double die obverse. This occurs when the die that stamps the coin shifts slightly between strikes, resulting in visible doubling on the lettering or date. If your 1950 penny has extra thickness on the words Liberty or In God We Trust, or if the numbers in the date look like they've been shadowed or doubled, you may be looking at a true minting rarity. Then there's the repunched mint mark, RPM, another favorite among collectors. Back in 1950, mint marks were punched into the dies by hand. If the punch wasn't perfect the first time, a second strike might be applied, resulting in overlapping or doubled mint marks. These RPMs are highly collectible, especially on 1950 D and 1950 S pennies, but that's not all. There are other mint errors that are equally fascinating and valuable. Look out for off-center strikes, where the coin design is noticeably shifted away from center. Or die cracks, which look like raised lines across the coin's surface. There's also clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin looks like it was cut out by mistake. Every one of these flaws tells a unique story, and collectors love them because they're unexpected and rare. Now, let's imagine the dream scenario. You're going through an old box from your grandparents' attic. You pull out a worn envelope filled with coins. Among them is a shiny penny from 1950. You flip it under the light. It gleams with that unmistakable red luster. You grab a magnifying glass. The S mint mark looks strange. There's a doubling. You notice that the Liberty on the front seems slightly off too. Your heart races. You're not just holding any coin. You might be holding a high-grade 1950 S repunched mint mark with a double die obverse, the kind of coin that collectors wait years to find, and when a coin like that hits the auction block, authentically graded, verified, and rare, it doesn't just get attention. It ignites a bidding war. That's exactly what happened with one specific 1950 penny. A stunning, red, uncirculated example with not just one, but two major errors, a strong double die and a beautifully repunched mint mark. It was evaluated, certified, and put up for auction by one of the top grading agencies. The results? Astonishing. After a tense series of bids from passionate collectors and institutions alike, that once humble penny, minted in 1950, sold for an incredible $75,000. Yes, you heard that right. $75,000. For a 1-cent coin. Now let that sink in. That's the magic of numismatics. That's why collectors search, research, and preserve every coin they can get their hands on. Because sometimes, the most ordinary coin holds the most extraordinary value. So what are you waiting for? Go check your change jar. Look through your drawers. Visit that old coin shop. And if you come across a 1950 wheat penny, take a second look. Examine the mint mark. Study the lettering. Check for luster. Because your next great discovery could be sitting right there in your hand, and it could change everything. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare and valuable coins, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another coin story that could lead you to the next big find. Until next time, keep hunting, keep collecting, and always look twice at your change.